Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. This is James in Nashville, and in this video I will be talking about Tales of the Walking Dead, specifically the Alpha episode, and more about the Whisperers. But I want to talk about Tales of the Walking Dead in general at the beginning here, so spoiler alert if you're not caught up to Tales of the Walking Dead. So a little bit of info on the series. You know, a few people like it, but I think more people, as far as in my comments on the channel, don't like it. It is out of the box. We thought it might be a little more connected. It's not. And a lot of people that like it say that's what they enjoy about it, is that it's not tied so much to the show, that it's so out of the box and they really love it. But a lot of people don't connect to that. And, you know, fans are fans. They like what they like. But after several interviews with the showrunner, Channing Powell, through different mediums, Entertainment Weekly being one of the main ones, she said a lot of stuff about if there's a season 2, if there's a season 3. And just throwing it out there, some of the things that she was talking about is, you know, we've talked about it here on the channel as well. And I know I've said a lot of stuff trying to relate what the fans are feeling, in the sense of they wanted more connectivity to the show, the main show. They wanted like little webisodes like we got before that was really connected to the show. And some people argue that we're crazy for not liking Tales of the Walking Dead. It's supposed to be out of the box. It's supposed to be far out there. And Channing Powell, the showrunner, has backed that up as well. I spent so long working on the main show, I wanted to do something out of the box. And if fans want something serious and related to the main show, watch the main show and some of the spinoffs. But Tales of the Walking Dead is an out of the box thing. So because of that, I fear they may not get us season 2, but if they do and do the same thing and still get crap ratings, will they still continue with a season 3 like they've been doing with Fear? Fear's got crap ratings for a while. It's been really bad for a while, yet they're still going. And one thing Channing Powell said in an interview is that rumor about a musical episode, it's true, and it's actually already written. They have already written a script for a musical episode. Now, I'm not sure if it happens at some kind of choir class where it's already people singing, or if the walkers actually start singing in a hallucination or something. Like, how would that even happen? It doesn't sound good. It is out of the box, a little too far for me. And I guess I'm on the same train as people wishing it was closer to the webisodes. I understand the out of the box thing. I just don't get it as much. I don't enjoy it as much. And I think other fans feel the same way. And overall, you know, that's what matters, I think, in the end, as far as a series being successful, if the fans are happy. But going on with the Alpha episode 3 of Tales of the Walking Dead, it showed some of her backstory, and we got some of her backstory also in the main show. And if there's any little things that are off between one or the other, Alpha's hair or something like that, it's because the stuff from the show was a Lydia flashback. Lydia telling that story. If you remember, Lydia in the jail cell, she told one story that was one way and it showed it to us. But then she started remembering and she told another story. It was slightly different and it showed us that. And I think it maybe even showed us 3 different ways of her remembering what really happened in the basement. But the timeline itself actually does make sense. We have Alpha and Lydia in the basement. They end up on the boat with Brooke. Then they end up in the woods where the Whisperers find them. They become part of the Whisperers. Somehow Alpha leaves and escapes with Lydia, and they run into Beta. She realizes with Beta's help, she can go back to the Whisperers and either take them over or something. You know, we don't know that exact story, but that's kind of the timeline, and it does all make sense as far as the timeline. So when we see Alpha in that Tales episode at the end, looking at the mask of Hera, or the face, which is now a mask of Hera. So she was saying that was the end of D and the beginning of me, and then I met you, and you showed me love. So there's a little bit into that, what she's saying. Let's learn a little bit more from Channing Powell about the deeper story. Channing Powell also wrote the backstory in the main show, so she was brought to do this episode as well, and she said they wrote an entire mythology for Alpha, and kind of had that whole idea, that story. So one thing in the show is the character Brooke, and she gets her face sliced, of course, for being beautiful. And Alpha said she wanted her to remember every time she looked in the mirror what she did to her little girl. As far as Channing Powell says, Brooke is still alive. She's not dead yet, so she's still out there in the world somewhere. As far as the Alpha story and maybe retelling some of it if they get a chance, Brooke is still out there. The showrunner does say that she has plans for Brooke and has plans for Alpha, and it would be a dream of hers to get a second season or beyond. But we do find out more about the origin of the Whisperers story in the TV show. Once captured by the Whisperers, they take Dee and Lydia to their community, and Channing Powell says it's different actually from the Whisperer accounts that Alpha turns the Whisperers into. Their community is very different. It's a little bit more human than the way Alpha runs the Whisperers. Hera is a really compelling, interesting lead in somebody that Dee is very, very intrigued by. Not just in terms of her being a leader, but in terms of her being a potential romantic interest. So that's a pretty big point right there as far as, especially when you go back to Alpha talking to the mask saying, and then I met you and you showed me love. So in all of that, whether there's a little love interest thing in there with Hera and all that kind of stuff, I'd love to see that story. We don't know that story. And as it plays out, Channing Powell says whatever happens causes Alpha to turn into the Alpha that you know. So there's a lot of story there. Channing Powell says she'd love to tell it in another episode of Tales, if that's possible, or two, if they get more seasons. Could they have a specific series that spawns off of this, a little short series with maybe 6 episodes telling that story? I think that would be cool. I would watch it. But we learn a little bit more as far as how Alpha did start the Whisperers or become leader of the Whisperers and change them. Somehow through it all, like Channing Powell was saying, the Whisperers weren't exactly like Alpha had them be in the show like we saw, but eventually they became that. And how did all of that happen? So definitely some interesting facts about Alpha, the show, the series, more to come that could come. We know that Tales is out of the box, but it's kind of strange to me to have so much out of the box, like 4, 5 episodes way out of the box, and then have one episode like a webisode that ties into the main show. To me, it's just a little back and forth. They need to get their stuff together, maybe have them all out of the box or none out of the box, maybe do some webisodes on the side, something like the Alpha stuff. And if you still want to do Tales, leave it crazy stuff, leave it way out of the box stuff, and try not to be serious or tie into the show if you're not going to be serious and tie into the show. Don't do a musical and try to tie into the main show. And I really hope you don't do a musical, but that's just me. But from what Channing Powell has said in the interviews, she wants Tales of the Walking Dead to be out of the box. She wants to do those crazy, crazy, crazy episodes like episode 2. She doesn't want to do the main show stuff. So it seems to me Tales may be its own thing, an out of the box thing. That's what it is. Most fans don't like it though. They should do webisodes or make Tales of the Walking Dead like webisodes. I think a lot of us agree with that. Some don't, and that's cool. If you don't agree with that, that's perfectly okay. But I did think it was interesting that Hera may be a love interest for Alpha. How does that go bad? Or does it? Maybe Hera gets killed accidentally or in a fight with some other group or something, and Alpha takes over. We just don't know the full story. I would like to get the full story though. How about you? Hey, let me know down in the comments below and I will join you there. This is James in Nashville. As always, thanks for watching and stay tuned for more dead stuff.